Hi everybody, Chuck here from the Link Lighting Lab, and you can see I've got a lot of stuff on the table today, but we're here primarily to talk about a new product, and this comes from Racketeer, and this is called a line splitter. Now, why we're excited about this, we used to carry them in Ideal, they discontinued them. I don't know why, but we're real excited to have this product back in stock. We've got plenty of them for you guys. It's not expensive, but I am telling you, this is a key element of your toolbox. Every one of you lighting install guys should have one. I guarantee you every licensed electrician in the country has got one of these on every truck. Now, what does it do? A bunch of things. First off, and this is this is a simulated outlet here. Actually, we've got an extension cord running over the outlet for purposes of video, but let me show you. Primarily, you put it in, you see the lights. Are we getting the lights on that, Ted? So this shows that we have, and it's got a legend on the back. Number two, have you guys ever had an issue where you're trying to get volts, you're trying to read volts, primary side, even secondary side, you've got your probes, you stick them in, and you can't get an accurate reading. You can't, it bounces all over the place. Well, here's what you do. You insert this into that receptacle, and then you put your probes in right here, and this is made just for that, just for your probes, and you can get an accurate reading. Now, the primary function of a line splitter is so you can check amps. Now, most of the transformers that we carry have an amp loop, very important, and that's this loop right here. Now, if this thing is missing, and I'm going to pull this one out, it doesn't matter what you do, the transformer's not going to work, because this is a main interrupter. Actually, they call it a photocell loop sometimes, of the current going into the transformer. But if you want to check amps on a transformer, you clamp that loop with it loaded, with everything on, and you can get an amp, or turn it on, you can get an amp reading. Now you'll see we're pretty much at zero here because I have no load. If we didn't have a primary amp loop, and some transformers don't for whatever reason, then remember, this socket is hot. So we'll put this in the socket, we'll put this in here. Let me do it this way and we can do it better. Okay, we're set up, we're moving voltage through this device. Now we can clamp it, and it's got two spaces here. One of them is actual and one of them is times 10. So with LEDs, you're using a very low volume of current, so sometimes you'll need a times 10 loop to get an accurate reading. They're not expensive. Have it in your toolbox. If you need to take an amp reading, you can. If you need to take an accurate volt reading at the receptacle, you can. And by the way, every install, first thing you should do is take a volt reading at the receptacle, and I'll tell you why. Guys will call up and say, hey, I'm only getting 11 volts out of my secondary side on a 12-volt tap on this transformer. It must be a bad transformer. So we have to get them to go back and get an accurate volt reading at the receptacle, and it'll be 110 volts. So the transformer is a number 10 factor box. All it can do is take what you put in it, factor it by 10, and put it out. So if it's low on the secondary side, it's probably low at the receptacle, and vice versa. If it's high at the receptacle, it's going to be high on the secondary side. So when you're doing an install, one of the first things you need to do is find out what your primary voltage really is. Now, here's the other thing, and this is a great sales tool. You're out in the yard with the homeowner, the customer, whoever. They're not giving you any warm fuzzies. You don't get the feeling that they're ready to go forward. Well, you stick this in a receptacle and the light's up. It's a silent way of doing it. They're going to see that. They're going to stop you if they don't want to go forward, or they're going to let you continue and you say, look, I've got a good receptacle here. I've got good voltage, I've got a good place to put power. This is where we're going to mount the transformer. And those are key words. This is where we'll mount our transformer or our power supply, because if the guy doesn't stop you, if he doesn't fold his arms and stand back, you're going forward with the sale. Very, very important. Now, we also like this, and we have these in Ideal too. This is what we call a voltage tick or a sniffer, and this does a similar thing. I say it does. It's an audible. So, and it looks like a pen or a pencil. You put it in your pocket, you go around, you hit that receptacle, and I'll show you, Teddy, can you get this on? It'll pick up the voltage even outside of the thing. And that is another tool, and basically the same story. We're finding a good live receptacle we can pull power. Now, if you happen to get to a receptacle that doesn't light the lights, doesn't beep the beep, you can ask, is this a switched receptacle? If in fact it is a switched receptacle, we have timers. Intermatic makes a astronomical timer that actually goes right in the box where the switch was, and it controls the lights automatically. It's a pretty slick setup. Now, I want to show you guys in terms of volt and amp clamps. We have 3 different types in stock, so you take your choice. Some guys like the Sperry, that's what we're using here today. We've always liked the Ideal. It's a great meter. They've changed a little bit. The clamps are a little bigger. Guys like that because they can clamp all the wires coming out of the secondary on the common and get a reading real easy. Some guys don't like it because it's a bigger clamp. And then we've got the Armada. It's also a great meter, and they're all priced pretty close to the same. It's your choice. We also have, and these are similar to our splitter, they're circuit checkers, and they're also GFCI testers. They'll trip the GFCI. You can reset it right there at the receptacle, but it confirms that you've got a good working GFCI, and as well as the splitter does too, that's why we really like this splitter. Now, got one last thing to go over. 2 things, I'm sorry. Now, you guys probably have seen a transformer where the terminal blocks are melted, or a couple of them are melted. Guys will call and say, bad transformer. No, it wasn't a bad transformer. What happened was they weren't getting a good purchase, a good clamp on the wires, and they had some stray hairs. When the transformer comes on, particularly in the halogen days, when this wires got pretty warm with the normal load, but they would get pretty warm, that warming and cooling is the start of an annealing process, and they loosen up. When they loosen up, they arc. When they arc, it catches fire, particularly in a low voltage environment. So what a little trick is this. All the wires that are going into common, and this represents, I think, a number 10, a number 16, maybe a number 14. I've just grabbed some wires that would be typical of what you'd be putting in a common on any transformer. Put them together, copper crimped them. Remember our copper crimp tool? You can't live without this thing, and without copper crimps. So when you do that, now you don't have any stray hairs, and you can put that in there. You can see how far in you're getting. Here's another thing. A lot of guys will put the wires, they'll push the wires all the way in. They'll clamp on the insulation. They think they got a good bite, but it's really on the rubber and not on the copper. So that's why this is a good trick. I don't say you have to use it all the time, but you can really get it good and snug and tight, and you'll never have that arcing problem. One last thing I want to go over, and I love these things. I learned this from Michael Deese, and he's down in South Florida. He always used these, he always bought them, and I thought, I don't want that. And now here's why. Here's why I was never interested. You see, before you do anything, you got to slide this part of this is it's like a copper crimp and a grease tube, but a little different. You've got to slide this part on first. Now, all of us have forgot to slide this on. You get everything all trimmed out, you strip your wires, you put the crimp on, you crimp it, and you go, oh, I forgot. And that's why I didn't like them. But I will tell you, after using them a couple times and getting used to it, I do think this may be the best connection seal in the business. Of course, it's copper crimped, so that's good, but you strip liberally, you crimp, you cut off the excess, and then this is the grease tube, and this snaps into place. Now here's the difference. The other grease tubes, you can actually pull the connection out of the tube if you get, and I've seen guys do it, they need a little slack, give it a rip, pull it out. This, it can't be because you pull right against the crimp. So we really like these a lot. We've got them in stock, we've had them in stock forever. We just didn't recommend them necessarily. And after using them with the help of another contractor on a job, I like them. And that's it from the lighting lab. Thank you guys.